And with the other prisoners, they were so used to saluting Santana whenever they saw him. Everybody jumped up and saluted him, even the private Chinook. I don't think he thought that his own men were going to rat him out like that, do you? Anyway, I've always said Santana wasn't really thinking clearly at the Alamo. Part of the reason that he was so enraged at the defenders there was Chairman Cos was his brother-in-law, so he felt the attack on Cos was the equivalent of an attack on him. If he had left troops there to keep the garrison from cutting off his supply line, he could have marched to Washington on the Brazos and disrupted the Independence Convention. Without independence being declared, the revolution probably would have pretty much just ended at that point. Definitely the history of Texas, Mexico, and the United States would be much different. There probably would not have been a Mexican-American War a dozen or so years later. Also, the boundaries of both countries would probably be much, much different today. That's cute. It's a bicycle built for two with the two little ones on the back. First time I've seen that one. Maybe look at my girlfriend go do the bicycle for two. That might be fun. I mentioned about the sign at tea gardens being made out of concrete, looking like petrified wood. Their local artist, Carlos Cortez Jr., was the third generation in his family to use this technique. I think his grandfather may have been the one that made that sign. In about 2006, he built this structure up here on the corner. Locals tend to call it the giant mushroom, but how many mushrooms is the stalk made out of a tree? He was so detailed that on the parts that looked like logs for the seats, on the ends he actually put in the tree rings on them. He was very detailed. In 2008, he built this grotto on the river. The way it's with the little waterfall, which, it's a trickle. The way it's built into the bank, it actually is, it's amazing how much cooler it is in there in the summer. Anyway, we're now coming up to stop number 5, the San Antonio Museum of Art. The Art Museum opened in 1981, and their art collection spans over 5,000 years. They have Greek, Roman, and Egyptian art. They have a collection of Asian art, as well as one of the largest collections of contemporary Latin American art in North America. The building they're in was built in 1884. It was the original Lone Star Brewery. When Prohibition began, the company did not have someone like Emma Kaler to figure out how to keep the workers employed and running. So they closed at the beginning of Prohibition. Though after Prohibition, they did build a new brewery on the south side. This brewery building was the very first mechanized brewery in Texas. When the Art Museum moved in 1981, they managed, for the most part, to keep most of the exterior of the building looking the way it did when it was a brewery. It really about most of it's the same. They did put a glass part on top of part of it, and they put a glass walkway between the two towers. When it was a brewery, they had the shortest railroad in Texas. It came out this end of the building, out the gate, right down the middle of the street to the end of the street at the rail yard, where it joined up, where they could ship out their railroad cars full of Lone Star beer. The Lone Star beer is no longer brewed in San Antonio. It is still brewed in Texas, and the Pabst Beer Company that owns the Lone Star brand, they actually have their offices just a few blocks from there. I'll point out that building as we go past it. We are now at stop number 5, the San Antonio Museum of Art. Does anybody want to get off here, or do y'all want to continue on? Continue? Okay. As we cross the bridge up ahead, you can look to the left across the San Antonio River and see the Elsewhere Garden Bar and Kitchen. It is a German-style beer garden, and like most of the beer gardens in San Antonio, it's very family-friendly. They have a playground for the children, and it's not unusual to see them playing on the playground while their parents are sitting nearby having a beer and keeping an eye on them. Supposed to make a right turn at this stop sign, assuming that the people that park down this street remember how to park between the lines, and sometimes they don't and they're so far out I can't get past them. So let's see. Oh yeah, looks good. Yeah, they always tell us, look there before you commit to the turn, because you don't want to come up here and realize you can't get past there. And worse, you don't want to be the one that tells them, well, I thought I could get through there. As we come through this intersection, you can look to the right and see VFW Post 76, the oldest Veterans of Foreign Wars post in Texas. It is one of the few that's open to the public and is housed in a beautiful Victorian mansion. I'll slow down as we come through the intersection if you'd like to take pictures. The city won't let us make stops here, but it's a beautiful building. I had read somewhere that one of the early managers of the brewery back there actually lived in this house, but I don't know if that's true or not. Coming up ahead, if you look across the parking lot to the left, you see that big glass building with the brick part behind it. That is the Soto building. Now the word Soto in English means grove, as in grove of trees. That name is very appropriate for this building because while most buildings have a framework that is made of steel or concrete, the framework of this building is made up of giant wooden timbers. This is actually the largest timber frame structure in Texas. And remember I said that Pabst Beer had their offices around here? That's the building they have their offices in. And if you're from the other side of the building, they actually have a Lone Star sign up there on that side. Coming up through the intersection on the left is the Make-Ready Market. There are 8 locally owned restaurants in a food hall type setting. There is also a microbrewery and coffee shop on site. This is one of the first almost one of the only places I'm aware of where you can have a meal with an adult beverage that was brewed right there on site. It's called the Make-Ready Market because it originally housed the Make-Ready department for the Cadillac dealership that was established there in 1939. Where they would bring, when the new cars came in, they would make them ready for their new owners. Okay, see how long it takes this. Some people, I hate to say,